In a close decision, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a small town in upstate New York can open its council meetings with a prayer. Conservative justices backed the 5-4 decision, ruling that the opening prayer in the town of Greece is constitutional. Jan Crawford tells us why.
The justices emphasized the long history and tradition of prayer before legislative sessions, going back 200 years to the nation's founding, and compared it to the Pledge of Allegiance or inaugural prayer, designed to lend gravity to public proceedings, not to afford government an opportunity to proselytize. The court rejected arguments by Susan Galloway and Linda Stevens, who sued the town of Greece for having invocations typically, but not always, by Christian ministers at the beginning of council meetings. Linda Stevens.
We do not need prayers in government meetings. You shouldn't be, required to stand up, bow your head, and pray to Jesus.
But in the opinion by Justice Anthony Kennedy, the court said the prayers also invoked universal themes seeking wisdom and cooperation, and that local officials had made a reasonable effort to include ministers of other faiths. That nearly all of the congregations in town turned out to be Christian, Kennedy wrote, does not reflect an aversion or bias on the part of town leaders against minority faiths. Justice Elena Kagan, writing for the court's 4 liberal justices, sharply disagreed, saying the court was allowing the town of Greece to turn its assemblies for citizens into a forum for Christian prayer. Kagan said the town could have asked Christian ministers to offer more generic prayers or included a wider array of religious beliefs. When one month a clergy member refers to Jesus and the next to Allah or Jehovah, Kagan wrote, the government does not identify itself with one religion.
But despite some of the language in that dissent, the decision today is really quite narrow. It won't affect other forms of religious expression like, say, holiday displays on government property or the words, "In God we trust," on our money. The justices, Scott, emphasized it's solely focused on the tradition of prayer before government meetings.
But Jan, does this in any way reopen the debate on prayer in schools?
Well, it really shouldn't, Scott. In fact, the justices went out of their way to specifically say this would not affect school prayer before graduation ceremonies, which the court has ruled are unconstitutional. And if you think about it, children are different. They're much more susceptible to, say, government indoctrination or peer pressure than adults at a government meeting.
Jan Crawford at the Supreme Court. Thank you, Jan.